This lesson is really just an overview of all of the ways that we've talked about. My suggestion is that you do all of these questions first on your own to make sure that you know what you're doing, and then really just watch individual answers if you aren't sure about an answer. This first slide here is for you to basically print out to have as a resource. These are all of the different ways that we've talked about. I'm not going to go over any of these in detail as I did in the previous videos that we've gone through. For the first one, I'm writing the equation of a line passing through a point parallel to x equals 5. So first, let's look at what the equation x equals 5 would look like. X equals 5 would be if I go to 5 on the x-axis and draw that vertical line. So this is not the line I'm writing the equation for. I'm writing an equation that passes through the point 2, 3, so there's my point. And I want the equation of the line parallel to this. So I really want this equation. I want the equation of this line. So we haven't really done this with the horizontal or vertical lines yet, but what we know is that this is it's parallel to x equals 5. Which means here's x equals 5, right? And I want it to be like this also, which means I still want it to be undefined. Notice it's going through x at 2. See here at 2, so my answer would be x equals 2. Now I want the line that is perpendicular to x equals 5. So here's x equals 5. Perpendicular would be this line. So this line here, next to that I'm going to write x equals 2. What's the equation of this line? Well, now it's a horizontal line, and horizontal lines are y equals some number, and notice the y value is 3, and it goes through here at 3, and so my answer would be y equals 3. These two practice questions are in standard form, and in standard form, remember I'm going to use the cover-up trick. So if I cover up 2x, I get negative 5y equals 10. Feel free to write it out. I'm going to divide by negative 5 or just use mental math to get y is negative 2. If I cover up negative 5y, I get 2x equals 10. Again, mental math or solve algebraically to get x is 5. So that would be this equation. And my second one, again, I would use the finger trick. I would cover up x to get 2y equals 4, so y would have to be 2. I would cover up 2y to get x equals 4, so x has to be 4. And I would connect the dots. In slope-intercept form, again, that's y equals mx plus b, where b is where we start. So I'm going to start here at 3 on the y-axis, 0, 3. I'm going to use my slope of negative 1/2, which is my rise over my run, to go down 1 to the right 2. Remember, I can do that multiple times if necessary, and then I'm going to connect the dots. And on this one, there is no plus anything, so that's plus 0. I'm going to start at 0, use my slope of 2 to go up 2 over 1 as many times as I need to, and connect the dots. This one, we're writing an equation of a line that's parallel to something else. Again, for reference, you could certainly graph this line. This line using the finger trick, x would be 3 and y would be negative 5. So I'm looking for a line that is parallel to this. I need to find the slope of this line, so without it being graphed, I would really have to turn this into slope-intercept form. When I divide everything by negative 3, I get y equals positive 5/3, because a negative divided by a negative made it positive, x minus 5. And I want to steal that slope of 5/3 because I want it to be parallel. So I'm going to do y minus my y value of negative 1 equals my slope, x minus my x value of 3. I will distribute to get 5/3 x, And then minus 3 times 5 is negative 15, divided by 3 is negative 5. And then subtract 1 from each side to get y equals 5/3 x minus 6. If I had to graph that, it would be down here at negative 6, which unfortunately is off the graph. And then I would go up 5/3 and connect the dots. And again, I wanted it to go through the point 3, -1, and notice it did go through that point. For this next equation, I want the line that is perpendicular. So again, the slope of the line that exists is +3. I want the perpendicular slope, which would be 1/3, because that's 3 flipped over, and then a negative. So I'm using the slope of -1/3. Y minus my y value of -1 times my slope, x minus my x value of 3. I distribute to get -1/3 x plus 1. -3 times -1 is 3, divided by 3 is 1. I would subtract 1 from each side to get -1/3 x plus 0, basically. So in this one, to graph the line, I would start at +0, or -0, which is the same, and go down 1/3 as many times as I needed to. I could also go up 1 to the left 3. So this is the equation of the line. If I were to have graphed the original, I would have started at -7, which would be way down here, with a slope of 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 over 1. And notice it does appear that these two lines are perpendicular to each other. This one is the whole kit and caboodle, so we have to start from scratch to find the slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which gives me a slope of 2/4, or 1/2. Use either point, I'm choosing the second point, to write your equation in point slope form, and then simply do the math to find our equation in slope-intercept form, which is y equals 1/2 x plus 2. So I would start at 2, go up 1/2, up 1/2. Not a bad idea to check to make sure it goes through the point -2, 1, which it does, and 2, 3, which it does. Same concept on this one. This is the whole process. Again, we're writing an equation of a line. It will start with finding the slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Gives me -3 over -2, which I turn into 3/2. I'm going to choose the point 0, 4. When I do the math, I end up with an equation of y equals 3/2 x plus 4. I'm going to start at +4, use my slope of 3/2. Notice I can't go up 3/2 because I would be well off of my graph, but remember that these two things are equivalent, so instead I'm going to go down 3 to the left 2, because notice it still makes my slope nice and positive, moving up from left to right. One more of these, 2 minus 0 over -4 minus -4. I get 2/0, and 2/0 is an undefined slope. Notice if I were to graph these, -4, 0 and -4, 2, my line's going to look like this. So when I find that my slope is undefined, then I know it's either going to be an x equals equation or a y equals equation. This obviously for undefined slope is an x equals equation, so my answer is x equals -4, which I can find by graphing, or I can find by seeing that both of those are -4. Same concept, but the other example, if I were to find my slope, 2 minus 2 over 5 minus -3, I notice right away I get a 0 on the top, which makes my slope 0. Remember, zero slope looks like this. If I were to graph negative 3, 2 and 5, 2, I would get this line. Again, that's the y equals equation, and it goes through it too, so it would be y equals 2. I could also find that out here by looking at the fact that both y values are 2.